that the home of John Bolton was raided by the FBI, and I believe his office as well. They've said a secondary location. I believe that's the assumption. This has happened right now, and they believe that they have reason to do so. When President Trump was asked, he said he was not briefed beforehand, didn't know about it. You know what? Maybe that's the right thing, because we know that's not certainly how it was running during the Biden administration.
That's right. So as you mentioned, there was an early morning raid about 7 a.m., it appears, local time, so East Coast time, at both John Bolton's house as well as his office. As far as while we are live right now, FBI is still at locations doing a search. This is a search warrant that had to be signed off by a judge. As you mentioned, President Trump said he was not briefed about this prior. And I think, Jordan, that is one thing that is unique, I think, to some degree. Getting back to the way that the DOJ should operate in a case like this is they went before a judge. They got a search warrant, which is the normal process. The president wasn't read into this as though he directed or ordered this raid. That the FBI believe they had probable cause to look into what they are calling a national security investigation.
Yes, I think what this all kind of comes together as, this is the investigation into leaks that happened under the first Trump administration, leaks that led to impeachment, leaks that led to special counsel. And we know that one of those individuals who played a role in the first impeachment, as I did, was John Bolton. And it's because he used the impeachment to tease his new book. His book was about his access to the White House. I think it was called like In the Room Where It Happened. The Room Where It Happened, yeah. And remember, there was this whole debate during that impeachment trial that I was part of about whether or not he would testify. And he was promoting his book and said, to find out all the info, you got to buy the book. He said he would not voluntarily testify, and he would have to be subpoenaed. And ultimately, he was not subpoenaed to testify in that. And again, this was a guy looking at that point to sell books. So anything he could do to tie it to what was going on.
Felt like a marketing
I would
play.
imagine that would be the starting point, right? Is he took information. Was it actually cleared? When you're a national security official and you write a book, it has to go through government clearance of a number of different government agencies to make sure that you are not releasing both classified information and also information that could be damaging or harmful to operations that are currently that the U.S. is currently engaged in. So it's not like a normal person who writes a book, My Time in Politics. This is, when you're a national security official, it's a very different standard, and he rushed it through.
When you're doing these kind of raids, this situation happens. Look, I'm not a big raid guy to begin with. I think there needs to be a pretty high bar before you start going into people's property. I'm not a fan. As long as that high bar was met, though, I understand the situation, but I want to make sure that I like that President Trump said he had no idea about it. I hope that's true, because I think that is the role of the FBI. That shouldn't be the role of the presidency.
Well, and Logan, once again, as you mentioned, that is what we did see many times during the Biden administration against former officials within the Trump world, whether his campaign and whatnot. And that's what the Comey and then Chris Wray FBI like to do. And we weren't a fan of it then. Obviously, there are times when the FBI needs to do this. What we are hearing is that they went to a judge and got a probable cause warrant. Now, I mean, that was able to be done with those other raids as well. But what I think you are also going to start to see...
Raiding someone who is, trafficking people or drugs, okay, get it. But if it's, he may have some documents floating around. We've kind of seen that document battle over the course of the last decade now, and maybe I'm tired of it. But hopefully, like you said, that judge was legitimate, took the cause, and approved it.
What you are also going to see, and I've already seen it this morning, I saw it on CNN this morning, saw it on other networks as well, is the Democrats, especially in Congress, come out and start to blast this. This is political retribution against people. When at the core of it, though, if you were to boil it down, and it is a classified documents, retaining government documents type of situation, and you realize how the FBI was weaponized against the individual who could declassify, raiding Mar-a-Lago, indicting him for that, and then the left screaming no one is above the law. Well, they got it wrong on the law there, but they were right in principle that no one is above the law, Jordan. We've seen throughout this ever since the Russiagate scandal, individuals within government that had been around way too long and thought of themselves as more worthy of government secrets or the smartest guy in the room, and therefore they were somehow outranked even the president of the United States. And I think that was what a lot of the problems with many people were. They had that kind of swampy old vibe, even if they weren't the traditional swamp creature, but they had worked in Washington so long that they thought that they were above the way the Constitution operates and that they were the most important person. Right. Therefore, they could do whatever they wanted.
First of all, John Bolton was our representative ambassador to the United Nations under President Bush. Right. He has always been a hawk and a neocon. He was then brought in to the Trump administration with a lot of other hawks and neocons. You had your Rex Tillersons, Mattis, others who really were kind of holdovers from the kind of George W. Bush, even H.W. Bush style of geopolitics when it comes to utilizing a military force. And people from the very beginning, we were on the outside then, not the inside, said, this is going to cause some conflicts. Mm-hmm. And it didn't take long for them to cause conflicts. But they didn't just cause conflicts in the fact of, we don't agree, so maybe you need to resign, or I like your opinion because I don't always agree with it, but I want your opinion in the room, so keep it in there. Instead, it became a fight, and it was won by, remember, this was one of a number of those first round of officials who did not fit into the Trump world or the Trump geopolitical vision.
We are only in August, and we're starting to see things that we didn't even expect. We didn't expect there to be some sort of FBI raid against John Bolton. But once again, if these are warranted in cases like John Bolton, you want it to be done the proper way. You don't want it to be just a knee-jerk reaction from the government to try and get back at people because, one, either those cases will fail and then there will never be real accountability, and that will be another problem.
Built that up now, yeah.
So you have to do what's right. You have to follow the law if you are investigating an alleged crime. And that's even the entire issue with the James Comeys, the leaks, the weaponization, the manipulation of intelligence. That is what some people are thinking could be a portion of what they are looking into John Bolton for, because if he retained documents, retained intelligence to then use as a smear against the president, that would be along those lines. But if they do it right, it isn't quick. They have to have a lock-solid case if there is a case to be brought. If not, then the Justice Department is no better than what the Biden Justice Department did, where they just weaponized things that should never have been brought and should never have stood in court.
Right. And I think ultimately here what we want to see is justice be done, equal justice under the law, not tit for tat, not you did this to us, so we're going to do this to you. And I expect if this is broader than John Bolton, that you're going to see people that had maybe D's next to their name, people that would not be Republicans, also face these kind of situations, because there were a lot more of them involved in this than there were Republicans, though he was one kind of very upfront and came out with the book, rushing it through the security clearance process, having some fights there. So I think ultimately here, the big question is, does it happen? Is it just John Bolton, or is this the beginning of more of these kind of actions to get to the bottom of what was going on in that first administration that was trying to undermine a first administration that got a lot of work done?